Welcome to the Crossroads Crosscast. What? It's a great start.
Holy moly.
Kevin, you want to try to start us again?
Welcome into the Crossroads Podcast,
Stumbled out the gate.
where we ask the question, two questions. You got me, Kevin. You're still Wes.
Yep.
You're still Jason.
Jason.
My two questions to start. Do you think people who say laughter is the best medicine don't know about real medicine? And secondly, how do you feel about putting up inflatables outside? You can take those in whatever order you want.
Wes, you can start.
I don't think laughter is great medicine. It's fun, and I like to laugh. It doesn't necessarily help my headache, or
Would you prefer real medicine?
I would prefer real
So
medicine.
if somebody came up and said,
And some people on this podcast might say because I don't like fun and I don't like to laugh.
Oh, I can see that.
That's probably why.
I think laughter is fun with medicine.
Okay, so you wouldn't
Like laughing gas at the
No,
tennis
I'm
tops.
just saying. Why, I get this weird reaction from our giant studio audience that's in here today.
Yes, that is an
Gosh,
interesting.
that's
I wasn't
offensive.
saying
He just called y'all
go-
giant.
Yeah.
I
I
will
was just
warn
saying-
everybody that is a dynamic that has changed for this episode. There are, in fact, people in here besides the usual one person.
Twos of people have joined us.
Yes, the pairs and pairs of fans.
And what we were talking about before, Kevin, I don't think you ever experienced this. We used to do a thing. It was a walk-through Christmas light experience called Christmas at Crossroads.
Oh.
We would set it
It's
up.
amazing.
What happened to that?
Well, we would set it up for the whole month. In 2020, we set it up for the whole month of December.
COVID.
Because
People are looking for things to do outside.
People were looking for things, and it's a wonderful thing. The problem is, it is windier in December in Texas than you think it is when you put up inflatables. And so every night,
Hundreds of inflatables.
you had wow,
There were lots.
oh yeah, it was the entire property.
cool.
And so it was really cool. But yeah, and what was great was trying to go turn them on and turn them off and get them set up, and it gets so dark so early. So Wes, what would happen when we would take off running through the middle of them, trying?
It turns out the way that you stake down inflatables is with rope.
yeah.
So you could watch any of our staff just run out there and try to do it, and every day somebody's face planting. Every day. I mean, you're just
every
tripping
day.
over yourself through wet mud, so that people can experience the joy of Christmas through Christmas inflatables.
And we've missed it so much.
So what I heard is you guys gave up caring because it was inconvenient. That is what I took from
Well,
that story
It
5
was
years
not
ago.
the takeaway that we were going for.
Scott, you can laugh out loud. It's fine.
And yet here we are.
Our studio audience
But
is
yes,
trying to
yes, Kevin.
restrain laughter.
This week I am grateful that right after this podcast, I'm not running outside setting up 100 inflatables.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
And turns out you can go walk through Christmas at 5,000 locations in the DFW area this weekend.
I wanted to do it again this year.
Yeah.
Wes did not.
Yeah, because I don't like to laugh or have fun.
Do you guys have equal say in things?
No. Sorry, was that too fast?
Kind of feels like that excuse doesn't really hold up now, does it, Jason?
Well, you didn't say which way it went.
Oh, please. I could be a prosecutor on this podcast if I need to as well. So much like last week, which again, I told you guys at the time, I thought y'all did a phenomenal job with last week's podcast. We have another kind of singular focus that has a lot of different branches for this podcast is discussing the holidays, both from, I've got some biblical questions about that, but also just kind of sharing traditions. And then I would love if at some point we can dive into, it's the happiest time of year for a lot of people, but for a group of people, it is the most miserable time of year.
Yeah, and we can get into all that. That would be fantastic. But let's start with traditions. So we'll start with you. Do you have any particular Christmas traditions?
Yeah, and actually we are shaking it up this year. which
Whoa.
I am not the best person in the world at dealing with change,
Yeah, I was
so it
gonna
took
say,
me
Kevin, the change agent.
it took me a minute to get on board with this, but yeah, through the entirety of my life, my mom always hosted Christmas Eve. That was like our big extravaganza.
Did
with
you open
extended-
presents on Christmas Eve or
No,
on Christmas
we
morning
would
like
usually-
Jesus intended?
Yes, because he was born on Christmas.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's the joke I was going to throw out there. Do you ever feel like Jesus gets upset that his birthday is overshadowed by Christmas? All right. No, so We would have extended
like it.
family, and essentially you would open the presents from like the extended family people that were there so they could see it and everything like that.
Sure.
And then Christmas morning, it would just be like the people who lived in the house family.
Gotcha.
As you say. But yeah, so that was the thing. And so my mom always hosted that growing up, and then we have kind of taken over hosting that. And so we're switching it this year where it's going to be more of an extravaganza on Christmas Day with my family as opposed to Christmas Eve,
Wow.
which might seem like a minor change, but for me, it feels like a whole lot of different.
Yeah.
But I still get to spend time with the family and everything.
Sure.
So it'll be awesome.
But y'all don't have like any sort of like strange tradition. Like I know we got multiple staff people that like on Christmas Eve they eat Mexican food, or like Robert's family is Chinese food every Christmas Eve.
So here's the hook with that. It is a year-to-year dependent now because my wife's birthday is on Christmas Eve. So
Ooh.
it has
Really?
Throws a wrench in
yeah,
things.
and so it usually changes on a year-to-year
So you
basis.
get away with just buying her one gift.
Actually, what we do, yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's a really smart idea, Jason.
pitch that to people who have birthdays around there. So what we actually do is I tell her on December 1st, not to get too far away from the Christmas theme here, on December 1st how many presents she has. So I'll be like, you have 6 presents. You can choose to have them whenever you want, starting now, all the way up through your
Okay.
birthday. And so she really likes that. But as far as December 24th now, it just kind of depends on what she wants. Like a couple years ago, it was Arboretum. Then last year, she was like, I don't want to have to do anything. And so it kind of ebbs and flows with what she wants to do because it's her birthday.
Okay. Okay. Wes?
Yeah, I feel like we're in like a season of making our own traditions. So like childhood was like very different with Christmas. It was different every year. So like the only thing that was set really was like I was at my mom's side of the family on Christmas Eve because we didn't do like Christmas. Never did Christmas Eve service basically until I came here. So yeah, so like we would, and I'd be with my dad usually on Christmas Day, but like no specific tradition. We just open gifts and have fun.
I feel like
We're not like a tradition people, but we're trying with Wyatt to like build some traditions in. Obviously, Christmas Eve service will be a big part of like tradition for us. Trying to like go like we did pictures with Santa this weekend at
Psalm.
at
How
the
did that
Star.
go?
Santa at the start. It was great, and just like early discipleship. My kids every year are gonna have pictures with Santa at the Star because like he really needs to be a Cowboy fan, and I don't really have any other way to sell him on it.
yeah.
So
And this is about the
I don't know.
time we wrap up the season anyway. so-
yeah,
Yeah, right.
It's the end. So-
Natural conclusion to things.
What's your like? Let's say if you weren't in ministry or involved in the church, what would be your preferred like Christmas Eve? Do you like the midnight mass concept, or are you like 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock?
I'm like 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock guy. I don't remember the last time I saw midnight.
Oh, just
So-
in general.
Just in general.
okay.
So unless Wyatt need to eat. So
That makes sense. That makes sense. What about you? I feel like we've let you down with our
you have lots
lack
of
of
traditions.
traditions.
We do have lots of well, we had to learn, and Crystal is always really great about this. Like, we had to learn to do traditions different because, I mean, I've been in ministry I'm about to start my 29th year in ministry, and in that time, Christmas Eve was always like a huge deal. I mean, when we were in Ohio, we were doing 3 or 4 Christmas Eve services. I was getting home at like, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And so Christmas Eve was kind of off the table. It also, we spent 20 years away from Dallas. So if we were going to come home, we were traveling on like Christmas Day sometimes, and things like that. And so early in December, like in the first week of December, we have a thing called the North Pole Breakfast, which we kind of brought to the whole church this year in a fun way for our first week of the Christmas party. But in our family, like Crystal, I do not all, but the majority of the cooking. Crystal does all the decorating and buys all the treats, and there's like all these candies and things like that. We had some of our foster kids join us, our previous foster kids join us that have now been adopted. They were with us this year. But the kids, and like I think we all got matching socks, and we've gotten pajama pants, and she sets up the table all kind of fun and festive. We play a lot of games. There's a lot of gift cards that can be won. So my grown kids are like battling it out over like Ruth's Chris and Starbucks and like Chick-fil-A and places like that. Freddy's was a big
which
one
of
this
these
year.
is not like the other?
Have you
Roos Chris,
Yeah.
Starbucks,
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A.
have you ever thought about making it let's make a deal style where there is the potential for them to get nothing?
Oh, there's potential to get nothing.
Okay, good, because that's
You
what.
got to earn it.
Yeah, that's what we'll
I don't believe
see.
in participation trophies here. Get
So
outta here.
what we've
Nobody's getting ribbons in my house.
what we've done the last couple of years is
young
we
new
built up to
generation.
like an ultimate prize. And so the last couple of years, it's been like a big Target gift card, big Amazon gift
Yeah.
card. And so people would always trade it in for the big prize. And then last year, it was a bunch of rocks. And that was my plan all along, is build up the big prize. But you knew there was a chance. But that seems
So over 10 years, you spent thousands of
yeah,
dollars.
just for that
Just
one
that
moment
one
of
payoff.
gotcha.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the person who won the big prize was the newest person to the family, and they traded it in for rocks. And I was like, "Oh, I wish that would have happened to somebody else."
So our other tradition is Crystal and I get up early Christmas morning, and we sausage and cheese balls is like
Yeah,
a
us too.
staple in our family. So we'll make those on Christmas morning. The kids get up. We kind of kick around for a little bit, have some fun. We always either Christmas Eve late or on Christmas morning we read the Christmas story and we share some things with each other before we open gifts. And not trying to Jesus juke anybody, but like we like try to make it spiritual. And then we dive into the presents and go.
You
nuts and
make
have fun.
Christmas about Jesus? How dare you?
I know, man.
Okay, so that was actually, believe it or not, and we're not going to leave traditions, but just a question now that's at the top of my
We're
mind.
trying to leave traditions.
Does it bother you then, or is it, I guess, anti-Jesus when people say Xmas as opposed to Christmas?
I'm actually going to cover that in a minute.
Oh, let's
We
go.
got you. So one
My
of the
favorite Christmas tradition, though,
what?
because this leads into something different, is the big give.
Me too.
So I would say like that's a huge part.
We're
of,
on
like,
year 10.
yeah, this is year 10 of the
Year
big
10
give
of the big give.
at Crossroads. So you want to give? I don't know if Kevin knows the whole big give. Do you know where the big give started?
You
Yeah,
know the origin story?
I do not.
So the origin story is pretty simple, but like we've been doing this for a long time as a church, over $1 million from at this point that we've given from Thanksgiving to New Year's, and been able to bless tons and tons of people. And kind of the mantra that is always following it is like people realize how much they matter to God when they see how much they matter to us. It's like this kind of window that people can see the Lord and His love for them. And we've done it for people inside the church, outside the church, people that have a need, people that sometimes we just feel the need to that they need to be seen and recognized and valued, because sometimes people have material things, but they just don't feel valued.
Okay.
We want them to know that. So we just kind of help address those needs. But it started 10 years ago. Our church was real small at the time, and we had finally gotten out of debt. Miraculously, God had provided incredible. We had 11 years of payments left to go on this property that we're sitting on, and I had just got here and challenged the church, and in 6 months we were debt-free.
Wow.
It was really amazing and freed us up. And so at the end of that year, 2016, we were like, we have money for the first time. There was like $40,000 in the bank. We'd never had money in the bank, so we just owed money to banks. And
Yeah.
so it was this neat thing. And I had always kind of said, like, I would love to be a 50-50 church. And so I pulled some people into my office between services one day, and I said, I have an idea. What if we just gave away $10,000 of this money that we've been blessed with? I really felt like we could do something to help people. And they were like, that's great. I love the idea. We'll pray about it. We'll get back to you next week. Well, the next week they came together. They said, we agree with the idea. We don't agree on the amount. And in my world, business, church, usually if somebody's disputing something from a budget, that number goes down. But it didn't go down. They were like, you've always wanted us to be, you challenged us to be 50-50 giving church. So let's give away 50% of what we have in the bank. And so we gave away $20,000 that first year,
Wow.
which was huge. Like the church had never done anything close to like that. And it was really cool. And so that has become a thing. A lot of churches, and there's nothing wrong with this, do like a big giving emphasis. In the month of December, we do a big giving away emphasis in the month of December. Our people have always been super faithful. They give all year long, and this is the time when we kind of we're going to make Christmas about what Jesus did. Jesus was outside and others focused, and we're going to be others focused. And so we always do this kind of weird thing where we're try to find where the need is, but then also a surprising way to give a gift. And so it's really a fun deal.
Yeah, so over 10 years we've done, I think it's right, over $1 million in giving away. And this year we've done, since December 1st, 61 projects. giving away.
Then you guys like to
100.
turn that into a video and try to make people cry when they look.
Yeah,
at the
that's really
video.
what we're
Yes.
shooting for.
That is
That's
what
really one of the objectives.
That is what I
How much
remember.
crying.
That's what I remember from last year. And they're like, you don't know how much this means to me. And I was like, oh no, I'm gonna get emotional watching this.
Yeah, so we've given away, I don't know, $125,000 or so this month.
Wow.
I think the cool part is
Still
like
going.
we have people like that are involved in it. There's always people that we invite to like be a part of the giving. So that being said, today, surprise.
You
So
are going to be a recipient.
You're a big gift
gift,
recipient
Kevin.
today.
Oh.
Podcast, be a good time. So
I was wondering why she left. I was like,
So-
we're not doing well on this podcast.
yeah, Crystal gave up.
Oh,
so
thank
here's
you.
the thing. Before you open it, we just wanted to say thank you. For
thank
the
you.
podcast.
We
over the
recognize
last
you've
year.
given an awful lot of your time to this and committed to it.
That is so nice. I
Yeah.
appreciate
And
it.
we know that we've talked about you guys have walked through a bunch over the last couple of months with stuff. So we wanted to say thank you. But the first gift is because I never listened to your other show. Just to be honest, because it happens when I go to work. So when I'm at work. But
I've become a fan.
one day,
Good.
one Friday, I was listening to your show, and y'all were talking about something. Y'all were talking about classic jersey. So you can open your gift now.
Okay.
And you were like, I really wish I had one of these. So
Oh, is this the powder blue? Oh, yes. This jersey is awesome. I know exactly what this is. Man, this jersey is awesome. Warren Moon, old school Houston Oilers jersey right there.
That's back when I lived down there in Baytown, man. I was a
This-
Warren Moon fan.
Man, this is, and they just had the coolest jersey. I love this color scheme. I love the logo. Warren Moon is the man. Guys, that is so nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. I did not expect this at all. This is so nice. Thank you very much.
The other stuff, we had some help, and you just need to open it, and we'll walk you through it.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is actually most of the podcast. So
Okay.
I do have some stuff to get to, but if
I
you're
did not
listening
know
with us-
any of this was
if
going
you're,
to
if
happen.
you're listening with us, you can. If you don't want to hear Kevin open a gift, you can fast forward. We do have some content for you in a minute, but we would encourage you to stick around. Okay, so we were going to name this the particularly delightful basket.
Okay.
You say the word delightful a lot.
Oh.
Did you know that?
No.
really,
I don't
you have to know. You say it on.
See, but
on the
there's
fan all
other
the time.
But there's other words that I say a lot as well.
That's probably true.
So, like for example, when you were like, "Really?" And that is
Yeah,
a
you do that a
word
lot.
that I say quite a bit. And then people will make fun of me at work because whenever I'm transitioning and I'm like, "Okay, I need 3 seconds to think," I'll go, "So," and like really, really draw it out. And that's me saying, "Okay, I need just a second to figure out where I'm going to go next." So I believe you.
Yeah.
I guess that one didn't register.
Yeah. So we might have gotten some help from someone in your home, and she mentioned that
Oh,
you were pretty
yes.
particular. So
I always joke that I'm the world's pickiest fat person because I see food in here that is, oh, dude, this is kind of crazy and kind of awesome. It's like a living little plush basketball. I like it. That's very nice. And then for people wondering oh, wow. Holy moly, there's a lot of
Can
stuff
I
in
ask
here.
the difference between eating a square and a circle? A snowman.
Yeah, it's, okay.
So apparently, Ghirardelli
Yeah.
famously makes their chocolate in squares, but you prefer the snowmen. And I was wondering if there's a flavor distinction between
right.
the shape of a
this
snowman.
is this like the same thing as like the Reese's egg versus
Yes,
Reese's cup?
okay,
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So I can tell this question has been being asked in a somewhat mocking fashion. But I will tell you this, my church friends. I believe that this translates into other things. Cornbread is delicious. If you go to Love and Warren, Texas, in Plano, where they have Texas-shaped cornbread, it's better. I can't explain the physics behind it, but it's just better. Same thing here, all right? This peppermint bark is good. Peppermint bark in snowman form, it's just better. Same thing with this. For people that are curious, yes, I really do believe this, in case you're like, he's just kidding. I'm not. Reese's peanut butter cups, they're solid. But when you get them in the trees or the pumpkins, Next level. Not even frickin' close.
So I can validate that one for you and tell you why.
I like that one.
Okay.
There is a why.
Because the peanut butter cup, at least,
It's just
it
a
feels
ratio
like
thing, right?
different distribution of the peanut butter and chocolate compared to the ridges
Well,
on the.
your ratio is changed, but here's the real significance. No joke here. Seasonal versus standard. The standard ones have a shelf-stable life that is pretty long, so
Okay.
they could have been there for any number of months.
Okay.
But your
okay.
seasonal ones are fresh, and therefore their
Okay.
flavor is, better. So there you go. I can at least validate that
makes
stance.
sense to me.
I can't tell you why eating a peppermint snowman is different than eating a peppermint
Probably the
square.
same thing.
Like I said, I can't explain.
No, it's still the Christmas peppermint squares. So
look,
they're both seasonal.
There's also, I feel like few people who'd back me up on the Texas shaped cornbread, but I think it tastes better. I can't explain the logic behind it.
Texas.
Yo, dang right. I almost remember just a second because that other word is acceptable on my show, but maybe less acceptable on this show. This is
I think there's one other thing in there.
the socks.
Nope. But that can be the thing.
Oh yeah, these or the gift cards maybe.
I think there's a wrapped present in there, isn't there? Or is it in the paper that you threw on the?
Oh crap, is it?
Oh no, they're all wrapped.
Pacha. Do you really want me to open all of these now? Is that entertaining? Okay. Okay.
so
I
we
mean,
got
I'm
gift cards.
very grateful and excited. I just didn't know if this was
No.
stimulating
No,
for
you're
our.
We can open up the rest of those later. We got some gift cards and stuff. But anyway, Kevin, we just really honestly wanted to tell you thank you. And again, you guys have
very
had
nice.
y'all have had all kinds of stuff going on for you guys, and we talk about that off the air, and we can keep talking about off the air. But on the air, we want to just say thanks, and we wanted to bless you. You've been a blessing for us.
Guys, that is very, very nice. I appreciate it. I did not expect that whatsoever. So
There's
thank
your
you very
crowd.
much, and I'm
Studio
glad
audience is
that the
applauding.
studio audience is
And
here.
I'll take your basket so you don't have to hold it the whole time.
Is here
All
to
right,
support
feels
that.
weird.
So let's
I'm
transition.
here to listen to my lunacy about all that food stuff. I promise you 100% that is what I think.
Not all of it's lunacy.
love
I have some
nonsense
hot
on
takes
this.
on food. We'll get into that in
Okay.
another episode.
Yeah. It feels like we have enough here to have a separate food podcast.
So let's dive into Christmas for a minute because there are some people, particularly some that have a little more extreme views in the Christian community when it comes to this particular holiday, and where it's founded is they say, well, what you're really celebrating is a pagan holiday. Well, I would disagree completely. First of all, we declare what we're celebrating, but
Right.
but in their minds, because there might be, and we'll talk about whether this is valid or not, there might be or might not be roots in pagan holiday, then therefore we are observing a pagan holiday. We'll get to motivation and intent in a minute, but let's just first address the facts of the matter. Yes, December 25th was originally celebrated, the festival in Brumalia on December 25th, and it was a pagan holiday celebrating the sun god. As a matter of fact, if you ever enjoy your week of calendar and your days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that day is also originally named after the same god.
Days of the week also origin in pagan tradition.
Yes. And so there is a reason that
Wedding
we
rings, music
celebrate
instruments.
Christmas as that birthday. It's really, and it's a probably word you're going to hear me talk about a lot. It's the idea of redeeming something. So like these people were used to getting together and celebrating the sun god on December 25th. They became believers and they were used to a tradition of celebrating on that day. So what they did was not change the day, they changed the focus. They redeemed the day. So they went from celebrating the sun god to celebrating the Son of God. And that is kind of where that's rooted. And from that, you get a lot of questions. So the people go, well, was Jesus even born December 25th? No, I just explained why we celebrate it on December 25th. But if you want to know why we know he wasn't born then, it says in Luke 2:8, there were in the same country shepherds abiding in their fields, keeping watch over their flock at night. It's a very famous passage of scripture out of Luke 2. Shepherds brought their flocks into the mountain area in late spring, which is somewhere in the area of May. And then they corralled them around October to avoid the cold. So if the shepherds are in the field, it's actually sometime between May and October that Jesus would have been born. Because if the shepherds are in the field to receive the message, it's during the time when they're in that mountain, that kind of country, like taking them out.
It's like the OG Christmas in July.
Right. Yes, exactly. So the day is wrong, and so is the year, as a matter of fact, because we tend to think like, okay, so Jesus was born at zero. And that's not true either. Herod died early on in 4 BC, so we know that Jesus was born near that because Matthew 2:15 says that Jesus' parents took him to Egypt to wait out the death of Herod. So in all likelihood, the time puts Jesus being born somewhere around 5 BC. And so the calendar, while it's very close, isn't exactly set, particularly at his birth. And so we can clear that up. It's one of those things that when you think about the traditions of the holiday, we have redeemed and refocused the holiday on what we want to focus it on. But there's so many things that we look at symbolically that are inaccurate. Like take the Nativity, which I've kind of deconstructed a few times in our Christmas series.
We're going to kick it over more this Sunday.
Okay, so perfect. So, like Wes, let's point out a couple of elements that wouldn't have been correct.
Yeah, so like the wise men, we'll talk about Sunday, but like there's probably more than 3.
Okay, so can we just stop with that? Because you told me that, I can't remember if it was on air or off air a couple weeks ago, and I thought my head was going to explode.
So there's probably more than 3. There's 3 gifts. We know they brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh, but what the text says is wise men from the east came to visit Jesus.
Yep.
So like we don't know how many men. It could have been hundreds. It could have been 3. It could have been 2.
They are also pseudo-royalty, and advisors to royalty. They do not travel alone.
Is there?
But they're
It's
not,
not 3 guys on 3
but
camels
they're not
coming.
kings. There is no indication that they would have been actual royalty, but they're wise guys, they're smart, they're astrologers, they know things, but they're not like the song. Do you know when the song "We Three Kings" was written?
No.
Yeah, not the 19th century. So this is an 1800s American idea.
Yeah, their job was to look at the sky and observe the stars and make prophecies based on the stars. And so the reason that because I'm going to talk about this on Christmas Eve a little bit, the reason that they start to pursue is they see something happens in the celestial bodies in the stars, which we know because there was a star that is over Bethlehem. And so like that is a thing. So there's probably, first of all, the wise men, there would be a lot more of them. Also, they would not have been at the birth.
Yeah, they're probably between 1 to 2 years after the birth of Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That feels like a pretty notable difference.
Well, yeah, I mean, it literally says they came into the house to visit the young boy.
Yeah, so at this point,
So
they have moved out of wherever he is born, and they're either living in a rented house, probably in the country they're in, or the house of a relative of some sort. And so that's the reality of like where they are staying. But what we do, the reason we do the nativity the way we do, is we're trying to take all the different imagery and put it into one scene. But then we do this same thing we do when we think about like the concepts of hell. Is we watch a cartoon and we go, that's
I
theology.
have to ask you if
Right.
pop culture led to it.
It does a little bit, and so you get this scene. Shepherds.
Nativities started in like the 1300s. Sorry, I've been reading so much about this.
I
but,
got
like,
you. So I've talked about this. The shepherds, not old guys. The shepherds were like middle school age boys who were outcast in their community. So like that, we put them in our nativity looking like Gandalf the Grey, and then they're actually they're gonna look way more like just some kid that's 12, 13 years old, and they're out there watching sheep. Like that's the norm there.
Also, it's probably not a manger.
Yeah, I'm going to get into that more deeply. It's probably not a wood barn type
That's a
thing.
lot of information to go through in a few minutes. Yeah.
Like ripping apart the Christmas story.
The wise men, at least I kind of prepped for that because you'd mentioned it like just offhand. You're like, oh, yeah, there probably weren't 3 wise men. And I was like, wait, what? So, all right, continue then.
Yeah, so they are traveling. When they're traveling, and Luke 2 it says, "Fear not, behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which will be for all people." And this actually gives us a little bit of insight into the whole manger scene and kind of helps us deconstruct the nativity. There is what's called the festival before the birth of Christ. There's what's called the Festival of Joy, or the Feast of Sukkot, or the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay, so this is the season of joy, and it's a feast for the nations. In other words, they are recognizing that there is a celebration of great joy for all people, which is what the verse says. For behold, I bring you. So so in other words, to get your head around this, they keep celebrating. This is a season of joy for all people. It's a season of joy for all people, but no object of why.
Okay.
So the Jesus shows up in Luke 2 and they go, you are already celebrating a season of joy for all people. We're going to give you a why. And that is, for unto you this day is born in the town of David
Okay.
a Savior who is Christ the Lord. And so at this time, there's several options for where they could have been. They could have been in what's called, I don't know the correct pronunciation. I believe it's Sukkot or Sukkot. It's like this basically like a lean-to tent type thing that you create that you that a lot of people that were traveling into the Feast of Tabernacles would set up, and they would stay. They might have stayed in one of those. More likely, and you'll hear this a little bit on Christmas Eve service, they are staying in a cave that is there in the hill country. Surrounding that area where the shepherds would have been. There's actually an area still to this day called the Shepherd's Fields, and it's where the shepherds would have taken their fields to graze, and there were these tents in there. And in these tents, even today, like right now, you could go there. There are stone mangers that are created. But the manger's a feeding trough, so they would take in the cover of night. They would take their sheep in, put them in there, put some straw in this feeding trough, and that's how they would feed their animals at night. And more than likely, that is where Jesus would have been born, in a cave with Mary and Joseph, maybe some middle school kids, and maybe some, as the shepherds. No wise men yet there, but they are going to meet him. It's just going to be a bit.
And not a silent night.
It's not a silent night. Somebody just gave birth in a barn
Yeah, probably not quiet.
with no epidural.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
silent at all.
yeah.
Joseph did the delivery. I want you to imagine either one of you.
We're good. I'm
If
good.
your wife's giving birth and you're the doctor, who's yelling the most?
I'm just thinking like, and this was just a tiny, tiny part of that experience when Noah was born. There was an issue with Jess's epidural, and so they had to reset it up, and they said it could take like 20 minutes to really kick in. And so at one point she goes, "Get the doctor. It's been more than 20 minutes." And I looked at the clock, and I was like, "Oh, no." And I said, "Jessica, I'm so sorry. It has only been 4 minutes." And she just shot me a look that I was like,
You
All
missed.
right.
I'm gonna go get the doctor.
I'm going to go figure
No
this
more
out.
talking.
Yeah.
No more talking.
And so I can't imagine like
Sometimes
the
people
entire
say
process.
dumb things in
Yeah.
that process that they shouldn't say.
Yeah. Now, so
Some people.
Some people.
I should have been smarter. Now,
I wasn't talking about you.
I don't
Oh,
know that
okay.
it's you. And I'm not sure it's me.
so you guys were talking about how you've done kind of the series or discussions about deconstructing the nativity. How important do y'all think that is for people to know that that's not like really what it was like? Or is it just the general concept remains the same? And so
I think it's important for people to know what the Bible says about what happened.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like make or break. Like I don't think anybody's like it's ruining anybody's theology to think there were 3 old guys at the activity. It's just weird.
But it'd be no different than if you had the symbol of a cross but never explained the purpose behind it, right? Like you've got these symbols that we put in our home. The more we know about them, the more we can use. Like the way illustrative things were used in Jesus' time was like these little monuments that they would use to retell the story. And in our day and age, if you want to sit around your nativity, even as a parent with a child, you can be like, "Hey, here's the shepherds, and let me tell you what really happened in the Bible about the shepherds. Here's Mary and Joseph. Let's talk a little bit about that." And it could be a great teaching tool, which I personally believe is what it was originally designed to do. It's not decor. It wasn't originally intended for Hobby Lobby. It's intended to paint a picture so that we would understand a deeper meaning. And so with that, let's go into a couple of others. The Christmas tree. I'm going to read you a scripture. Tell me how you feel about this. Jeremiah 10. I'm going to summarize verses 2 through 6. Do not learn the ways of the heathens, for the practices of these people are worthless. They cut a tree down from the forest. They adorn it with silver and gold, and they fasten it with a hammer and nails so it will not fall. Do not fear them. They can do no harm, nor can they do any good.
As soon as you said, do not copy the heathens, I was like, oh no, I see where this is going. Well, then why do we do that?
Well, I can't remember which comedian it is, but he...
That's what we're looking for on this show. Not theologian, not the Apostle Paul.
What did Nate Margetzi say about it? Yeah, I get
I
you.
wonder what Jim Gaffigan's thoughts on
Yeah.
this were.
It may have been Jim Gaffigan that talks about this, where he goes, somebody's uncle was drunk one Christmas.
yeah.
He's like,
We'll
let's
cut down
cut that
a
pine
tree."
tree down and bring it in the house. And then what do we do with all these lights?
Cut that.
Let's take them outside. So it's what are you pushing buttons over there? What's happening? Oh, I thought we were gonna get that wah 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 or something like that.
It was a mute.
So should I not have a Christmas tree then?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Just
it's
to be clear, you shouldn't have one. You should have multiple.
again,
love
for
Christmas.
me, this goes to the whole thing's it's a little bit like you think about tattoos in the Old Testament. People are like tattoos are heathen practices. They were heathen practices because they were attached to the worship of pagan gods. When you deal with like things like Christmas trees, the question for me is intent. There's also Christian representation that has come from the Christmas tree as well. There's tons of illustrations in Scripture, like all over Scripture, about the evergreen, about the purpose of trees, about God and creation, about all those things. There is other Scripture about adornment and things like that. There are good things that you can take and go. The question comes down to our heart and our intent.
Yep.
What if I'm gonna take something that was bad and I'm gonna make it good? That is what the gospel is. The gospel is the story of redemption. To take what was broken and messed up and aimed the wrong direction, doing the wrong things, and to redeem it for the purposes of good. And I know there are Christians out there that'll tell me I'm a heathen for even believing this, and I have no right being a pastor having these kind of views. And that's fine. They probably don't listen to this podcast. But
How big is that community of
not
people?
small.
Do you suppose? Okay.
yeah, it's not tiny, but I mean, I wouldn't say it's the majority of
It's a
Christians.
loud minority.
Right. That's
Okay.
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I think I would. To people that like one, I would say if the Christmas tree is the thing that you love the most about Christmas, you shouldn't have one.
Gotcha.
Like if that's the obsession, like if I'm
Right,
man, I've got to
right.
get I've got my house ready, and I've got to like if that's the idol, then get rid of your Christmas tree.
Yeah.
But if it's about Jesus, then I think it's fine. But I think the other thing would be, and I mentioned this earlier, kind of under my breath, but like if we're gonna throw out all the things that started pagan,
There's a lot.
let's all throw out our wedding rings and let's not use musical instruments anymore, and let's get a new calendar. Like,
Redemption.
yes, we're just trying like the cross is the perfect picture of redemption, right? Like
Yep.
it's a cross was a
A symbol of death.
symbol of death, symbol of punishment. Ultimately, now it's a symbol of salvation. Like our whole faith is based on the idea of redemption.
Yeah.
So we should be able
And,
to look
and
at
turning things from what they were to something else.
Yes. So like look at things like holidays and go, how do we make this a celebration? God created celebration. God invented it. Like from the Old Testament, you can see it. So like he wants us to be people that party, as we say all the
Yeah.
time. Like let's do it well. Let's do it in a redeeming way. Let's celebrate the right things and let's have a good time and
It's
honor
even-
God doing it.
It's even what drives like our Christmas family service, which I know you came to for the first time last year.
By the way, and I'm very excited, and I know there's more traditional services, and I support everybody who does that. But Noah had the best time, and I thought it was a very unique, very welcoming way to do it, and I'm excited about it next week.
Yeah, our whole goal, and my parents, took me to church on Christmas Eve when I was a kid, and to be honest, I loved going to church as a kid every day except that one.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was the most boring church service that we ever had, and so when we started doing it here, our concept was, man, kids are so excited for Santa. What if we could get them as excited about experiencing Jesus at going to church as they are about Santa Claus and presents on Christmas morning? And I feel like we've really done a lot of that. Kids get pumped to come here. And that's again, this redemption. Like the gospel is serious. The gospel is effective. It confronts us. It challenges us. It transforms us. It changes us. But it also gives us joy and hope and celebration.
There was a time when I was a kid that I would think when we went to church, okay, this is the last not fun thing I have to do before all of the celebrations. And so that is one thing
What a
that
bummer of a way to think about Christ.
I'm sorry. It was when I was a kid.
No, I'm not.
I mean,
I'm
there's-
saying that for the church.
Yeah.
Like
But like we even do that. Like I think I don't know that you've been to like our kind of
candlelight.
candlelight services.
I have not.
But like we try to do fun elements in that also because it should be fun. It should be celebratory. Like Jason said it this way. I don't know if you came up with this, but like we take the gospel incredibly seriously, but we're not going to take ourselves that seriously.
Okay, I like that.
We think the message of the gospel is the most important thing that we can share with people, but we can do it in a fun way.
Super Bowl.
Even us people that don't like
Super Bowl
laughter.
preaching, another one.
example of that.
Even if you don't like laughing or
Yeah.
having fun.
So
you.
Yeah, like me.
let's move to another one. Is Xmas disrespectful? Is
I-
it anti-God?
Really want to know about this.
So there's a couple of answers to this. There's a practical intellectual answer, and then I think there's a heart and motivational answer.
Yeah, sure.
So the heart motivational answer is, yeah, sometimes it's disrespectful. It doesn't matter what the actual intellectual answer is, which we're about to get to. If somebody's desire is that I'm going to say this, I want to put it this way because
I'm going to remove Christ.
I want to remove Christ, then it doesn't really matter what the intellectual side is. There's a heart concern there that I would have for that person. I think the difference is I don't hate that person. I actually want them to experience Christ. I want to go like, oh man, either you don't never really been told about what Jesus has done for you, or you've run into somebody who horribly misrepresented what Jesus has done for you.
Right.
And either way, I want to go, man, I just wish you would experience Christ for who he is. I find it hard to believe anybody could truly experience Jesus for everything he is and walk away not well. First of all, I mean, you can't walk away unchanged. Like there's a response that it will demand, but I think anybody that truly experiences him, their life has to be altered. I think ultimately for the good if they really open themselves up to experience him.
Do you guys happen to know? I just using common sense. I have no idea if this is right. That Xmas is just people like literally crossing the.
Not
cross
originally,
part?
no.
Oh, okay.
It's a Greek word.
Oh, okay.
It's the Greek word chi that is where we get the word Christ from.
Okay. And then follow up.
So in other words, it actually wasn't in its original form
Okay.
removing Christ at all.
Okay.
It was the Greek letter that represents the same thing.
Okay. Then ridiculous follow-up question. Why do you think it's not called Christmas?
I think that's just an English thing.
Bad pronunciation?
Yeah.
It's just something I wanted to know along the way. All right, so not necessarily disrespectful depending on the intent, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So what I
It's
want
like
to
the whole answer to the whole it's
Yes.
the one answer to the whole question is like what's the motivation and intention of your heart when it comes to these things.
And if you just got to hustle and write something or you have a small space, you're not necessarily trying to go against God or anything like that.
So what I'd love to do, if you guys are okay with it, is I would love to set the stage for why we actually do want to celebrate Christmas the way that we do. I know we're going to get to this some other stuff in a minute, but I'm going to go history nerd for a minute and walk through a timeline, because what I want to paint a picture of is what was the world like when Jesus showed up, and why that magnifies the celebration.
Okay.
All right, so I've got some notes because I don't have this all committed to memory, but here's the historical landscape. So around 64 BC, so just under 70 years before Jesus is going to come into the world, the Jewish people have reclaimed their nationality in Israel. They've had kind of a glorious return and a celebration of coming back into their home. 60 BC, about 5 years later, the Romans take Israel and the people of God captive. 15 years after that, Julius Caesar is in power, and he is rocking the Roman world. As a matter of fact, they would declare him a deity and declare him to be God. His Senate is going to allow for the birth month of Caesar to be declared in his honor. July, Julius, is named for him. And it places him with the title of king and lord or deity, like he is God. A year after that, the members of his Senate, who are hungry for power, decide to murder him under the statue of Pompey, kind of Ides of March, et tu, Brute. We've been to history class in school. Move forward another about 15 years, and you've got Lepidus is going to defeat a guy named Octavius. and later killing. So basically, what happens is after when Julius is in power, when they're fighting for power, there's three guys that decide to fight for power, and it's Julius Caesar, Octavius, and Mark Antony. And what's going to happen is in the course of this, Julius Caesar is going to be killed. Mark Antony's going to run off to Egypt. He's going to hook up with Cleopatra. They're going to come back. They're going to bring an army. They're going to be destroyed. And Mark Antony's going to go back, and some people claim that he eventually they commit like a suicide pact, and it's very romantic, Romeo and Juliet kind of deal. Not sure, for example, for sure how he dies, but one guy, his name is gonna survive, and his name is Octavius, and he takes out the other two, and he is going to get a chance to rename himself. We'll get to that in a minute. But Herod comes onto the picture. He's absolutely nuts. He kills an 18-year-old priest because he thinks that he's leading people towards God, and those people love that priest. So Herod gets really nervous that they're going to like the priest more than they like him. There's the war that begins and kind of culminates with Octavius, Mark Antony, and all those folks. And Octavius is going to get a chance to change his name, and he's going to change his name to Caesar, but his is specifically Caesar Augustus. And you might go, why is he Caesar Augustus? Well, he's the adopted son of Julius Caesar. And so being adopted by Julius Caesar was declared what? God. He gives himself a name that means, anybody want to guess?
God, I would assume.
Close. Son of God.
Oh, right.
So the guy in Rome, who's the Son of God, is ruling when the Son of God shows up on the scene.
And you do not believe that timing is coincidental by any stretch of the imagination?
Oh, not at all.
Yeah.
And so that's what's happening in the Roman Empire, which is most of the known world at that time, and the predominant group that is ruling the planet, or at least the planet we know of in history.
Right.
And then, but then you have another group. It's the group that we follow throughout most of the narrative of Scripture, which is the Jews. So let's talk about what they are. They had moved into their land. Rome takes over. All this stuff happens with Rome. And the Jews are kind of beside themselves. They've been in slavery, and they were in slavery. They got their land back and immediately go back into slavery. So it's not been going particularly great. There's a prophesied king that's supposed to show up at some point to fix this mess, but they have divided into factions. This is what religious people do when they don't see eye to eye on stuff, is they divide into different factions and tribes or denominations, and they begin to break into these little groups. There are four predominant groups that I'll tell you about that happen with the Jews. So Rome, chaos, fight for power, guy who claims himself to be son of God is like reigning, but it's kind of a mess. The Jews, even worse of a mess. You have the Essenes. These are people that run off to the wilderness to kind of escape the slavery to Rome, and they wait for the Messiah. John the Baptist is an Essene, exactly. And they're like, hey, light's going to come back, and we're going to push against darkness, and we're going to rise up as an army. We're going to take these guys out. Then there's the Sadducees. They run the temple.
They were sad.
You see. Yep.
You'll find out why in a second.
They run the temple during Rome. They're kind of like, if you can't beat them, join them type of group. Their philosophy is basically a life of compromise between faith and fear. And so they live in fear. They're wealthy and they have a lot of sway, but they're a pretty small group. Then there's the Pharisees. They run the synagogue. They're opposed to Rome, but they live at peace with Rome because, well, they're weak and they don't have any money like the Sadducees. And so they are going to be the abide by the law guys. There's 1,613 laws that they want to abide by. And then Jesus is going to clash with them because he will constantly bend their rules over and over again. And some people will read the Old Testament. They go, Jesus is breaking his own laws. That's not true. God gave us 10 commandments. They wrote 1,613 stipulations to those that aren't necessarily God's commands. They are the Pharisees' decrees. And then there's the Zealots. They want to, there you go. They want to revolt. They want to kill Rome. They feel like God's. They want God's plan to come. They want the Messiah to come as a conquering king. All that. So Jesus is going to shock Rome. Actually, Rome probably didn't care much about what happened when Jesus first showed up, but he's going to shock the Sadducees, the Essenes, the Pharisees, and the Zealots, because when he shows up, and imagine like you're a group of people that you've been in slavery, you've been waiting for your Lord to come. he shows up in a barn, and his message, it's not that his message doesn't align with one of the groups. His message does not align with any of the groups. And so Jesus shows up in the middle of an absolute mess of the Jewish people, following a revolt in the Roman people. It is a time of utter darkness. No one has done the right things. Everything has fallen apart. The Jews have waited for 400 years for this Messiah King to show up. It is a time in history marked by hopelessness, oppression, pain, slavery, loss, fighting for power. So why does that make Christmas great?
Well, I go back to just what we were discussing a few minutes ago, or maybe what the theme of the entire idea is Jesus' arrival and his birth was able to eventually redefine all of that. That would be my theory.
Yep.
Oh,
I mean, he's walking into a broken world, and he's the person that can make it whole.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think you could make an argument. I mean, every generation, I think, would make this argument at some point, but that it may have been one of the worst moments. At that point, I think it was maybe the worst moment in history for most of these people. I mean, even before, when you go, well, they've been slaves before, but they were hearing from God. They've had 400 years of silence.
Yep.
It is a dark, bleak time. And
So
it's
then obviously this would be the time that Jesus would come. Like,
yeah, and I think that message sends ripples into the rest of eternity, into our life today. When people are going like, "Oh, this is the worst my life has ever been," and I go, one, I recognize that's not fun. Like that sucks. But two, maybe that is God setting the stage for a miracle in your life. Like, and let's be honest. Sometimes this was true of the Jewish people. And even of the Romans, I like. There's a reality. I don't know if you guys have ever looked into this. Like 1 out of 10 Roman citizens prior to the first century movement of Jesus' life, 1 out of 10 Romans had fallen into some form of Christian belief, recognizing of the God Yahweh. After Jesus shows up and lives his life, 1 in 4. So he goes from 10% to 25%. In the Roman culture,
Right.
which is anchored to worshiping their emperor, their king, and instead they shift to follow Jesus. And so it's this thing that has ripple effects through all of their lives. Even from the outsiders, they fell in love with who Christ is. And it was really amazing to think of. And for me, I think that's the beauty of what God does is he shows up as this incredible gift. But it's not a gift like anybody expected. I mean, we did a series a few years ago called Socks and Underwear.
okay.
And the reason we call it that, it's like it's the gift no one wants but everybody needs.
Yeah.
And it's the same idea. Like Jesus didn't show up to give them what they want. He showed them to give them what they needed. I mean, like some of the things I wrote in my notes, like he's not power hungry and indulgent like the Romans. He's not reclusive and reactionary like the Essenes. He's not mingling with Roman paganism like the Sadducees. He's not following the Levitical law, but instead he claims a new covenant, unlike the Pharisees, and he's not calling for war like the Zealots.
You know, and the thing that I thought when you said he's not necessarily giving everybody what they want, what they need, but what they need is, we've talked about in previous podcasts, that is the path that leads so many people to Satan, right? Because he's like, here, I have the easy thing that you want. Here you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't worry about what it costs. We'll deal with that later.
Yeah, I'd just say, I mean, I said this past Sunday. It's like there is a lot of people will refer to the cross as very scandalous. Like it's a scandalous moment in the Christian life when you like it's or some people call it the scandal of grace. Like that someone would willingly die, an innocent person would die for non-innocent people. That's a scandal. But long before there was a scandal of the cross, there was the scandal of the cradle. Like that birth is a scandal in every way. It's a scandal in that he doesn't show up to align with any political group or party or movement. He shows up to be different from the very start and to give us a different way to live. His kingdom is different than every other kingdom that exists. If he would have showed up like any of the little kingdoms that were existing in that time, it would have misled all of us. because we would have begun to align with that little kingdom. And so he shows up to go like, no, none of you nailed it. So I'm going to show you a whole different kingdom to live according to. And that's what he does from the very beginning, is we live according to that kingdom. He shows up, but at the same time, he also does something crazy. Like, he invites all the people from all the jacked up kingdoms to join his, and to come be made whole, and to fix your mess, and to bring light and hope into the world. And their response to this incredible gift is to murder him. And what they couldn't know, was that was his plan.
Yeah.
Is that he came to be a sacrifice. And so he knew he was going to step into his own creation. I mean, I love the way that the Gospel of John starts, because it gives us this really powerful picture of kind of the think about it we've talked about it from like our perspective, or the perspective of these people at Christmas, when Jesus showed up. But think about it from God's perspective. What does God step into at the first Christmas? Matthew, in the Gospels, when you get to the Christmas story, what does Matthew start off with, Wes?
Yeah, just genealogy. Where is Jesus from? He's writing to a Jewish audience. He's going to write, here's the genealogy of Jesus.
Yeah. Mark, Luke,
Mark's going to go real fast, it's like 3 verses. And then Luke is, it's the traditional Christmas story. He's recounting every detail, It's the one that we all read.
Yeah, so Mark and Luke kind of start like, okay, so Jesus is born. Matthew is going, we're going to go further back, guys. Let's go to the genealogy of Jesus. John goes, still not far enough back. Here's where the Christmas story begins. And John 1:1 starts with these words. Let me see if you know what verse he might be referencing. In the beginning.
Oh, yeah, Genesis 1.
Genesis 1:1.
Yeah.
That's as far back in the Bible as you can go.
Right.
Like if you take a
And
left,
time, by the way. As
it's
far back
all
in
the
time
way.
as you can go.
John goes, in the beginning was the Word. The Word didn't appear to us when we put it on pages, when it is scrawled out on parchment. It was, in the beginning was the Word. He's always existed. And the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. All things were created through him. And apart from him, not one thing that was created has been created. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. You ever wonder why we celebrate so much with light at Christmas? It is this, that light pierces the darkness. It says in verse 5, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. There was a man sent from God, so this is the Christmas story, whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify about the light, so that all might believe through him. He was not the light, but he came to testify about the light, that the true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. Verse 10, he was in the world, and the world was created through him, and yet the world did not recognize him. When he came to his own people did not receive him. But to all who did receive him, he gave them right to become the children of God, and those who believed in his name were born, not of natural descent, not of their will, of the flesh, or of the will of man, but of God. And the Word became flesh, Jesus, and dwelled among us, and we observed his glory, the glory of the one and only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. John testified concerning him, exclaiming, this is the one whom I said, the one coming after me ranks ahead of me because he existed before me. Indeed, we have all received grace upon grace from his fullness, for the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus. No one has ever seen God, the one and only Son, who is himself God, and is at the Father's side. He has revealed him. And so he's going to give us this beautiful picture of light coming into the world and what he does. And he says when he walks into the world does not recognize him. And we've talked about this on the podcast before, but it's just to me, when you think about what did Christmas feel like for God? And certainly God processes his feelings differently than I do. But let's put in let's say I built a home and I married my wife and we had tons of kids. And one day I walked into that house that I'd built to the wife that I know and the children that I gave birth to, and none of them knew who I was. None of them recognized me. They were like, Mom, stranger danger, there's some guy here. We don't know who he is or why he's here. That's the world God walked into at Christmas. And every human instinct would have been, fine, You don't know me. You don't want me. I'm out.
Yeah.
But that is not what God did. God said, as heartbreaking as that moment had to be, he said, I love you too much to leave you in this place. And he came in a cradle and went to a cross. Now, I've talked way too much. One of y'all pick up from here. I don't know what you want to talk about.
I think it's actually kind of a transition to what Kevin asked earlier is like, for some people, this season that's called the most wonderful time of the year, and everybody's happy and joyful, and maybe they're struggling, and maybe they, it's like all the movies that I haven't seen, Scrooge and all those, like Bah Humbug and all this. Like, there are people.
Christmas Carol?
Yeah, there you go.
You know, the Bah Humbug movie? Die
Okay.
Hard.
Thank you. Do you want to keep talking?
No.
Okay.
Spicy.
Yeah. I waited my turn. Anyway, I just think like there are people that are just like inherently negative about Christmas, but there's also like people walk through things that are hard. Holidays are harder in general because people that maybe once were there aren't there anymore. Whether that's because they passed away or maybe they're estranged from family, and there are things that come up that make this season hard. One of the things I would say is like that's why Jesus came. Like like Jason just read it, like he brought light to the darkness. Like there's actually an opportunity in those moments to have a good Christmas, to have a joyful Christmas season, even though there are circumstances, and like show up in January and let's talk about joy on Sunday mornings because that's what we're talking about. But like just because there are bad circumstances doesn't mean that I can't have joy. Joy is an internal presence that has an external response. So like Jesus is the reason that I have joy. And as hard as the external things are sometimes, that gets the weight. The joy gets the weight. So I think Christmas looks different. There are seasons that are harder. Like I think about, we were talking about this last night in our house, but like Christmas Eve is just like a weird thing for us. So like 2 Christmas Eves ago, I remember we were standing next to JD and Arden Claire, and they had their little boy, and we were actually holding their little boy, and my wife looked at me and said, I wish we were holding our baby. And we weren't pregnant yet. We didn't think. And then we were. Like the next day, we found out that we were pregnant. Wow. And like we were really excited. And then we obviously lost that baby. Y'all know that story. And then the next Christmas, which was last year, Caitlin was pregnant. What we didn't know was like she was going to have a baby in like 2 weeks. It was a little early. And then like this Christmas Eve, we'll get to hold our little boy on Christmas Eve. So like there have been like a variety of emotions attached to Christmas, but that hasn't, for me as a believer, it doesn't take away the joy, the hope, the peace, the love that Jesus brings at Christmas. And as a believer, I think it's easier to walk through that season if it's difficult. If you're not a believer, I would go, man, come to know Jesus because he can actually bring you these things in this season. And just from we joke about this all the time, but like, the soft next generation, I do think some people need a reminder that this season isn't about them.
Yeah.
That is an excellent point.
I don't mean it sounds so heartless, and I'm the guy who cares, the pastor who cares over here. But like it's
like you
it's
not
not
getting
about you.
Yeah.
It's called Christmas.
Yeah.
Christ. It's about Jesus. And like sometimes like, and I need this in me, like Jason did this with me a few weeks ago. Like I was struggling with something and he was like, bro, this is the season of joy. Like you get to choose whether or not you're going to enjoy it. And I think we all have those moments, but honestly, like we get to choose how we experience the Christmas season ultimately.
Yep. Every day has enough evidence for this bites or I'm blessed. You pick. I believe most days you get to pick. You've got plenty that you've got in both days. I think sometimes it's a matter of where we focus and just on the idea of like Jesus showing up for that mess. Another one of the most famous Christmas verses that we read is Isaiah 9. It says, "For a child will be born for us, a son will be given for us, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor." For those who maybe are struggling in their own head through a situation that need wisdom, he's a wonderful counselor. For Mighty God, for those who feel powerless, for those that feel helpless, he's your strength. eternal father for those who maybe are without a parent or have never felt the love of a mother or a father. He is not we say this all the time. He is not the reflection of your earthly father. He is the perfection of your earthly father and Prince of Peace for those who are in the middle of the chaos and seek calm. Calm is not found in the absence of chaos of your life. If that's what you're looking for, you're going to have a hard time because life brings chaos all the time. Peace is found in a person, and that person is Jesus. It's not how do I get life without chaos. It's how do I find peace in the chaos, and that can only be found in Christ. And so I recognize, I sat today at lunch with somebody going through one of the worst situations, and yet they are holding on to hope that God has a plan in this. And I'm like, that's what faith looks like. That's what peace looks like. To go, I don't know how this is going to go, and I'm not saying it's fun, but I am going to trust God, and I know that He has me regardless.
Yeah, and some of the things that people have experienced aren't their fault. Like some of it is because we're in a broken world, but like there's another verse that Jason used to say is his favorite Christmas verse.
Oh, it's still my favorite.
John 3:8, the Son of Man came to destroy the works of the devil. So
Bam.
like the reason Jesus showed up.
Christmas is about destruction.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the evidence that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. But ultimately,
Found in the Bible. I don't know how many people would have guessed that.
Die Hard, Christian movie.
Yeah, no. Just to be clear, no.
Hans Gruber is the devil who gets thrown off Nakatomi Plaza.
Man, I'm going to have to watch this again.
Point was, at Christmas, it's a reminder that the reason Jesus came is that one day the works of the devil don't exist anymore. Now, the devil exists forever because he gets to burn in hell for all eternity, so that's great news. But all the things he does...
Make that T-shirt for Wes.
Sorry.
I love it.
Man, I feel like I would wear a shirt that said, "Great news, devil. You get to burn in hell for eternity."
I mean, it's true, but all the stuff that he does and all the stuff that he manipulates and the things that people struggle with and addiction and all those things, all that stuff is gone. That's why Christ came. That's why we get to find joy in Christmas no matter what our external circumstances are.
Yeah.
So I guess I would pitch this out there. I don't know how many people listening or watching will fall into into this category, but
At least two.
no,
I'm just
not
kidding.
how I meant how many people this will impact. If you feel like you are alone, I know you guys would love it if somebody just said, "Hey, I'm here. I'm in a church and however long it's been, or maybe I've never been to this church, or if you see me and you're like, hey, can I sit next to you?" I think that's like kind of the entire idea. I know we've gone in a whole bunch of different directions, but I feel like that's kind of the entire idea of what we've been talking about is Jesus would essentially say, take a seat.
Oh, 100%. And a matter of fact, we got a whole bunch of crazy, amazing people around here that would welcome you to sit with them anytime.
For sure.
So yeah, 100%.
But wherever you are,
Our board op is looking at us with a weird face. What happened?
camera's out.
Camera died. Okay.
That's okay.
So we've lost image. That's fine.
That's all good.
You
I
got
would
to
just
see
say,
us.
like, wherever you are, if you're struggling or if you're not struggling, you're a believer, go to church somewhere on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Like, if you go here, obviously, we'd love to have you here, but maybe you're out of town, seeing family. Man, go celebrate the coming of Jesus at a church on Christmas Eve. Make it the most important thing this Christmas.
I feel like we brushed past something way too much and way too quickly of a bloodied rescuer that crawls through the mess to save an oppressed people. John McClane in Die Hard.
I couldn't tell. I knew it was going to be that. I thought maybe it was going to be
There's no way it was gonna be
somebody from the Cowboys. I wasn't quite sure where that was going to go, but
I'm just saying.
I knew. See, look at the shirt. He's still Jason.
Still Jason.
At all times, he is still Jason. Do you want to end it with that? Do you have something not biblically based?
We could say Merry Christmas or something, or Christmas, whatever.
I'm good.
Do you think we could make that happen? We
We
started
just- I
right
mean-
now and say Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Would anybody correct
I don't
you,
think
or
it's,
they'd be
I
like,
don't think it's catching on. I'm just
well, not with that attitude. For Jason, Wes.
Still Wes.
I am still Kevin.
Still Jason.
Thank you for joining us on the Crossroads podcast. We will see you next time. Merry Christmas,
Christmas.
everybody.
Merry Christmas.